Most people build digital product websites completely wrong, and as a result, they fail to make a lot of sales. In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to create a complete digital product website that sells your products. Let's dive in and let me show you what we're going to be building. So here I show you how to build this landing page. So as you can see here, it has the button that goes to the actual product. And then below here is a bit about what we get with the PDF or the downloadable. And then further down here, we have a few testimonials. We also have some frequently asked questions. I show you step by step how to create all these. And these elements here are also critical to selling a digital product because, of course, you're going to need testimonials. And before someone purchases, they may need to have a few questions that are asked by most people. So I show you how to create this as well. Right. So let's take a look and see what happens when you try to buy a product. So if I were to come here and say, buy now, it takes us to our checkout page. All I have to do here is to go in and add my email address. All right, so I've entered my email address. You can see here it's saying payment pending, and that is because I haven't added my payment gateway. So at this point, I can go in and view my order by clicking here. And you notice that everything is actually working. So this is my order. My purchase history is telling me here, my product here is this Indian cooking formula course. And if I go over here to my dashboard, it also tells me that I have this product on hold. So here I also have my downloadables. Now, if I had paid and everything had gone through, this is where I'll be able to download my product. Of course, here I have my profile. I can go in and change my email address. I can change my name and so on. So as you can see, this is a complete, fully functional website. And once you set this up, you'll be selling your products just like that. I also show you the new way of designing as a professional designer using what is known as a design system. Let's dive in and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is great hosting, and Hostinger is the best hosting platform out there if you're a beginner, freelancer, or even if you have a design agency. So for the type of website we're building here, it doesn't require a lot of traffic, so Hostinger is going to do a fantastic job of hosting our website. Now, there's a lot I can say about Hostinger. I mean, in terms of their support, their platform itself, and how great it is for WordPress websites, but I'll leave that for another video. Just trust me on this one. The link that I'm going to give you to purchase Hostinger hosting will give you 85% discount. So the link to that will be in the video description below. All right, so what you want to do when you get to Hostinger is to come over here now to the pricing, because this is where you're going to be able to choose which type of hosting you want to go with. So there's three types here. First of all, there's this $199 per month. And as you can see, very, very affordable. And we also have $299 per month. Now, these prices are with the 85, and in this case, 84% off. So this is why it becomes really, really low. Plus, you also get a domain. I mean, how cool is that? So if you want to sell a digital product, then this is the fastest way to do it. All right. So what I usually do is I would recommend that you go with this $299 per month because you can have up to 50 websites. Chances are, if you build your website, you're going to be very excited and you're going to be building more websites. Or if you get to learn how to use Divi, you're going to be able to design websites for others. Okay. So this one here is the best one, $299 per month. So what you want to do now, in fact, there's quite a lot of features here, as you can see, but we're just going to go straight to choose plan. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, this is where you're going to now need to go in and add all your details. So first of all, here we have the duration. Okay, so it starts off with 48 months. So you can click here and say, okay, 48 is a bit too much. I just want to go with 24. Boom, you do that. Now you can see the price here has been updated to now $95.76. And this is for 24 months. And this now becomes $3.99 per month. Roughly. Okay. So if you want to go lower than that, again, you can go down to 12 months. But to be honest with you, I don't really recommend that because once you set your hosting, you just want to set it and just forget it. Okay. So I would recommend you go with either 24 or 48 months. Okay. So once you've selected your period here, what you need to do next is to just click continue to go to the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, this is where you need to register with your email address. So I'm just going to close this. So here I'm going to go to Google because I want to register with my Google account. So I'm going to go with this one here. I have quite a few of these Google accounts actually. Next, you want to click on continue. Okay, so now that we're registered, here's the next part. You need to go in here and add your name. So here I'm going to add my first name. And then here I need to add my last name. And then further down here, you need to choose your country of residence. Okay, it's very important. Now, in my case, I'm here in the UK, so I'm going to leave it there as United Kingdom. And then here you want to add your phone number. Next, you want to add your address. Okay, so you can see here I've entered all my information. The next part here is if you have company details, you can go ahead and do that and then add your VAT number or VAT number. But if you don't, no problem. You just have to click on continue. And this now will take you to the next step. And this is where now you have all these options of paying this $64 that we have for the 48 months. So in this case here, I have PayPal, Google Pay, Apple Pay, and so on. But if you want to add your credit card details, you can just do it by coming over here and then adding them like that. Okay, so once you're done here, you're going to get an email, and that email will have your, once of course the payment has gone through, that email will have your username and password to Hostinger. All right, so I'm logged into my account, so let's go ahead and create our website. All right, so to do that, there's a few ways you can create your website. So over here, you can see we have our dashboard, and this is where we have, our website list. Okay, and if I go back to home here, these are all my websites that I've been creating. Okay. And remember, I say you get a free domain name. When you log into your dashboard, you can claim the domain over here by clicking on this button, but we're not doing that yet. All right, so over here on website, we get the website list. So this is where we get to add our website. So I'm going to come over here and click on add website. So my website is going to be based on WordPress. So I'm going to come over here and choose WordPress. All right, so now we have our email address here and we have the admin password. Now, usually I don't really, change the admin password because I can log into my website from the control panel of Hostinger. So I'm going to go ahead and click on next. All right, so now we're being asked if we want to create the website with AI or pre-built website themes. Of course, we're going to be using Divi for this, so we don't need any of that. So we're going to say blank website. All right, so now it's asking us for the domain name. So I'm just going to call this shop. Now, this is where if you have an actual domain name, you can go in here and just call it macshop.com as an example. Okay, so this is not an actual registered domain, but if you have a domain, this is where you'd enter it. But in this case, I just want to use my temporary domain. So I'm going to come over here. Now, notice that here, Macshop, it's asking me if I own it. So if I do, it automatically connects this to Hostinger and my website will be on that domain. But if you don't have the domain, you'd come over here and actually purchase the domain name over here. And you can see it's $0 for the first year. And then after that, it's going to be $19.99. So you can literally go in here and start searching for your actual domain name and then get it here for free. That's really, really cool. But in this example of this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and create a temporary domain. This is where we get a URL which is unique to my website. No one else will have it. It's a temporary one. But now the advantage of that is if you're a freelancer, you can actually use that to show your clients the progress of the website, and it's fully functional. And then once it's done, you can then map it and then make it link to the actual domain name. Now, while this is loading up, I want to talk about something very, very important. Now, in this tutorial, I'll be moving a bit fast because this is not a how-to per se, but this is how to build this store or this digital product website. So it's not going to be one of those tutorials where I'll be explaining every single thing. But if you want to learn more about Divi and you'd like to build professional looking websites, I have a course here called Divi 5 Mastery. Already, it has more than 1,097 students. Now, this is ideal for anyone who wants to get up and running with Divi 5. As you know, if you are a user of Divi 4, Divi 5 is completely different. It has been built from the ground up, so it's a new experience and it's a bit more advanced as well. So if you want to learn how to use Divi 5, this is the course you want to go for. It's only $27. All right, so I think our website now has been loaded up, and sure enough, you can see here now we are in our WordPress admin dashboard. Okay, so what we need to do now, or what I usually do at this stage, is to go over here to the plugins, and I just disable all this because initially this just adds a lot of options in my dashboard. So what I do is I deactivate and then activate them once I'm done. So I'm going to say apply. Now the next thing we need to do now is to install Divi. So I'm going to come over here to themes. Right, so now that we have our themes here, you want to make sure you go to elegantthemes.com. Now I also have a link for you to purchase Divi through that link. So in my case here, I have an account, so I'm going to go straight to my downloads. And the one thing you want to do here is to make sure you're using Divi 5. Very soon it's going to be out of beta, so this is the latest page builder you want to be using. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and click on download. So this is going to download the latest version of Divi 5, okay? Okay, you can see here it's been downloaded. So let's go ahead and install it now. So we don't need this tab. Let's get rid of that. So back over here now, we're going to say add theme. Next, we're going to say upload. And then we're going to navigate to where it was downloaded. So I'm going to say choose file. And here it is. We can see it says divi5.zip. I'm going to say install now. And this now is going to install the latest version of Divi on my website. All right, so the only thing I need to do at this stage is to say activate. All right, so far so good. I have my page builder on there. The next thing you want to do is to make sure you set your home page. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come over here to pages and then say add page. We're going to name this page home. In fact, first of all, let's get rid of this editor here. So let's name this home, and then we want to publish this. I'm going to come over here and uncheck this because I don't want to keep going to that every time I publish my page. All right, so we've published that. I'm also going to say use with Divi Builder, and I'll show you why I'm doing this. All right, so we've added this. Pretty much we're good to go. The next thing you want to do is to just make sure there's easy access back to WordPress here. So what we need to do is to come over here to Builder Settings. I'm just going to enlarge this and then scroll all the way down and enable admin bar. Okay, so that is very, very important. So you can see now I can go over here to the top and go back to WordPress. So first of all, let me just save this. So at the moment we've created a home page. It's got nothing on it. The next step now is to go back to WordPress. So over here, we want to set our home page to the actual landing page. To do that, we're going to come over here to settings, and then we're going to go to reading. All right, it's because right now our latest page on our site, in fact, let me just show you this because it won't make any sense if I'm just talking and not showing you. Do you see that this by default is on the main blog, which is the hello world? We don't want that. We want to have a specific landing page, and that's why we created that home page. And now we have to target it by saying static, and then we come over here and say home. Okay, so now we have set our home page. Let's go ahead and save. Great. So what other pages do we need? We might need the contact page or support page and so on. But right now we're going to dive straight into installing. In fact, before we install anything, why don't we set up our website so that it's ready for building our digital download website. All right, so what we're going to do first is to come over here to media. We're going to add some images into our media library. Now, I've already gone ahead and searched for these images. Let me just show you how I did it. I go to a website called Unsplash. Okay, and then this is where I went and searched for all the images that I need. Some of these are paid, but if you go to free, you can just choose the free images and then download them. All right, so I've already gone ahead and done that. So let's go ahead and install these images. So I'm going to say add media file and then say select. So now I'm going to go to my downloads folder, and here they are. Okay, so these are the images. Okay, so I've selected all of them. I'm just going to say now open. So this now is going to add all my images onto my media library. So when I'm building my website, it's going to be very, very easy for me to find these images. And that's really, really cool. All right, so now that I have that, the next thing I need to do now is to fix our design environment. But before I do that, you remember we set our home page. Let me show you what it looks like now. If I do that, you see we have a blank page, and this is our main URL. Okay, This is how it was before, and this is how it is now. All right, great. So the second thing, or the next thing we need to do is to set up our environment. So we are going to now go to pages and then say all pages. Okay, so here's our home page. I'm going to say edit with Divi. Now this part is very, very important because we need to go in and set everything that we need in order for our website to function really, really well. So we are going to first of all start with our colors. So I'm going to click on the variable manager here. I'm going to expand that and then go to our colors. So you can see we have these two colors here by default, but ideally we want to have our own colors, okay? So that our website is brandable. Now I use a website called coolers.co. Now, since our website is a digital download product and it's to do with cooking, well, we need browns and reds, okay? Because those are the sort of colors that work really well for those type of websites. So already I can see I have this ruby red. I'm going to copy the hexadecimal value here, and I'm going to go in and replace my primary color here because this red is going to be my color. I'm going to hit enter, and you can see this color here has been updated. All right, so let's go back in. We're going to lock this color here, okay? And then we're going to go in and find a color that works with that. I really like this. Will that work? Okay, let's just lock it just in case. So let's continue on. Wow, I like this. I think this could work. What do you think? Amber Earth or this one? But anyway, that will be a design choice, by the way. So I'm going to go with Amber Earth, but I'm going to make it a bit brighter. And this is a bit too much. So let's go down a little bit. Okay, I think this bronze also works. All right, so these are going to be our two main colors. So I'm going to copy the hex here and then back over to my variables. I'm going to go in and enter that like that. So I've got my secondary color and my primary color. Now these are my heading colors. So I'm going to leave these as they are. I'm going to hit save and apply changes. Okay, so now that I have that all set, pretty much we are very close to designing our website. Now, what you're going to notice is well, I'm going to be, like I mentioned earlier on, moving a bit fast because I want to make sure that this does not take 2 hours to design, okay? Because I value your time. All right, so what we're going to do now is to add our headings. So first of all, I'm going to start with my column here. And in that column, I'm going to add a text module. And then I'm going to add a heading. So I'm going to come over here. That's my heading. And then after that, I'm going to need 2 modules, but they need to be in a group. Okay. Now, the reason why I need that in a group is because I'm going to have a text module like that. Okay. And then in that group, you can see here, I'm within this group. I'm also going to add a button. Okay. So I'm going to come over here and do that. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want this side by side. On the left, I'm going to add a price, and then the button's going to be on the right. So I'm going to select my group. Okay. And then over here on the design now, we need to go to Flexbox and make sure that I align things the right way. So this time I just want this horizontal. Okay, so now you can see everything is side by side. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do now is while I'm here, I'm going to make sure that everything is justified center. It's very important that it's like that. And then I'm going to go back in here, go to content, text, and then I'm going to add my price. So this digital product is going to be $69. Like that, but I want it slightly bigger. So before I add the price, what I'm going to do is to go back over here to my group settings, design, because I forgot one thing. I need this to be centered in the middle like that. Okay, so I'm going to come back here and fix things. I just need to center this as well. So I'm going to go to my heading here and make sure that it's centered by coming over here to content and then, oops, design. And under design here, I just need to go and center it like that. And of course, this paragraph text here needs to be centered as well, but this is done a bit different. You go into your text here and then you can center it by coming over here. All right, so far so good. I have the elements that I need. The next thing I need to add here is my image. So I'm going to come over here. Now, if I wanted, I can just literally go in and add it under this group. So let's add it that way. So I'm going to say image. There we go. And then now I'm going to come over here to this image. Now remember, I downloaded all my images, right? So I'm going to go to my library and choose my image. And this is going to be the image that I'm going to be using. I'm going to say upload. Fantastic. So far I have all the content that I need, right? But still, we are not there yet. Okay, we're not there yet. So what we need to do now is just to replace what we have here with some lorem text. So I'm going to come over here. So I'm going to grab my text here and then replace this text that we have here. I just triple clicked on that and now I've added it. Next, we're going to come over here. We're going to grab a bunch of heading text like that. And then I'm going to come back, triple click and then paste it. Okay. But do you notice something very interesting? This, although I'm adding all my content in here, it doesn't look great, right? Something is missing. And I'll share with you in a moment why that is. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to go back to the variable manager here. We're going to go to fonts. And this is where we need to add a font. So I'm going to go with Poppins. It's my favorite font. I use this on all my tutorials, by the way. Right. So for my body text, I'm going to go with Enter. And here it is. Select that and then save variables. I'm going to say apply. Okay. Now I'm going to save this and let's refresh it. Yes. So you can see here, my button has changed. My text here has changed. Pretty much everything has changed. But you see, my sizes, my text sizes are not right. And there's one thing that is very, very, very important. And I beg you, please do not in 2026 using Divi 5, for example, come over here to your text, go into design, and then go under text and set a specific value here. That is not how you want to build your websites. That is the old way of doing things in Divi 4. This is the old way, because once you start doing that, let's say you set this to 1 rem as an example. Okay, so you can see my text here is now correct, right? And let's say you set this for the tablets, the size is going to be the same. So you're going to change the size on the tablet, change the size on the phone. You don't want to be doing that. You need to have dynamic fluid fonts. So in 2026, you need to use a design system. And thankfully, I have a free design system for you that can get you up and running super fast so you can have everything consistent when you design your websites. It's absolutely free. Let me show you how to install it. So far, the work that we've done here is okay. I'm going to hit save. Now let's install the design system. So I'm going to come over here and just open the dashboard in a new tab like that. Okay. So we're going to come over here to Divi and then go to library. I'm going to hover over here and go to the library. Okay, so now that we have the library here, I'm going to say import and export. And of course, we want to import it. So I'm going to click here on import. Make sure you click on import presets. It's very, very important you do that, okay? So once you download Krafter Lite, which is the design system, you're going to get a file that is zipped. It's called krafterlite.zip, okay? And like, as I mentioned before, the link to that will be in the video description below. It's 100% free. You double click on it, and then you're going to get a file called krafterlite.json. That's the file that we need to import. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come over here and say, in fact, let's start all over again, just in case you missed that. Okay. So you'd come over here to Divi, you go to the Divi library. Okay. This is where we are. You go to import and export. And of course we want to import. So you click over here on import, and then make sure you say import presets and then choose the file. So mine is in the downloads folder, and here it is right at the top. I am going to click on it or even double click and then import builder layouts. So what this is going to do is it is going to import all the presets that are already done for you in terms of the sizes, the spacing, and so on, that will allow us to build our websites super fast. Okay, so Krafter Lite has been installed now, and pretty much we are good to go. Now, let me show you what this does to our design. In fact, I want to show you why this is important. Let's add a new page, and this page is going to be a reference so you can see what Krafter Lite does. So I'm going to call this reference or just ref. like that. And then I'm going to say use Divi Builder. Okay. So over here now, we're going to click on this plus button, and because we've saved it to our library, I just have to come over here to saved layout, and there it is, Krafter Lite. I'm going to select on that and then say use this layout. So now you're going to see that it picks up all my colors, right? So that's going to be our main color that we added earlier on. And if we scroll down here, it has our heading sizes, it has our paragraph text, and look at that. We have our buttons here, primary, secondary button, gray 100, gray 900. These are all presets. We also have our spacing scale here. We also have our padding scale. We also have our text row. So as you can see, pretty much it has everything that we need for a basic website setup. So let me show you how this design system shines. So the first thing we're going to do is to go in here and change our button from the custom one to the one that we have in our design system. So I'm going to come over here to button, and you'll notice that I have two buttons here, primary and secondary. So I want this to be the secondary. Boom. Just like that, I've just added my button. I mean, do you see how easy that was? So here is where now we need to go in and name this button here, and we're just going to say buy now. Okay, then we're going to save this for now. Over here on the text, I'm going to select that. Oops. Now, if you see that you can't really select this text, what you need to do is to come over here on the layers, and I can see here that this is my row. So this is my text heading, and then in this group here we have this text, so I can select it from here, and then this is where I can go in and adjust my size. So I'm going to come over here to design text, and if I can now come over here, I can choose my text size. So there's different sizes. There's 2XL as well. So I can do that. And you can see now my price is nice and big. But the reason why I've chosen it from here is because this is clamp based. Now, you know the design system that we've just entered. If I come over here to the variable manager, all right. In fact, let's get rid of this. We don't need this anymore. If we come over here to the variable manager, this has populated now. So we have now all the spacing here, the text sizes, and so on. So this is now what we're going to use to make our website responsive. The next thing I need to do now is to head over to this text here, and then make sure that under the heading here, it's set to heading 1. Over here, we're going to go in, and this is going to be set to body text. Okay, so far so good. The next thing we need to do is to make sure that this is, this has the right width. So I'm going to select the row, and then over here I'm going to set this to text row. Okay, so this now puts this in a more compressed view for our text, but we notice now that our image here has been affected. So why don't we get rid of this image from here? I don't know why I've got this background here. Let's go ahead and get rid of that by coming over here to content. I don't remember putting that background color actually. All right, so let's delete that. All right, so what we need to do now is to go in, add a single column, and now we can add our image in here because the image size should not be so tiny, right, for our design. So I'm going to select here and then make sure I put my image back. All right, so far so good. I have all that set now. That's pretty cool. The next thing I need to do now is to go into my row settings here. I go to design, and then over here on the layout, we need to set this to gap 0, okay? Because I need to go in and remove this spacing here, which Divi gives us by default, and add my own spacing. So I've added gap 0 here. The next thing I need to do is to come over here to elements and then go to column, design, layout, and I need to do the same thing. Click over here on the presets, and then I'm going to assign the gap 0 here. Now remember, I told you that I have a spacing scale here. So now let's go ahead and add our custom spacing. So I'm going to select my group settings. Okay, let's collapse this. And then over here on spacing, I'm now going to say margin top medium. And then over here, I'm going to select this and then say margin top, just like what I did, spacing, margin top, small. Okay, so now my spacing is much better. All right, so far so good. I have a basic landing page here. I'm going to hit save. The next thing I'm going to do now is to add the plugin that we need for this shop to actually work. I mean, not shop. I keep saying shop. This is our digital product. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard, and then over here on the plugins, I'm going to say add plugin. All right. So the plugin I'm going to add is called Fluent Carts. This is an alternative for WooCommerce. It is fantastic. I've been using it on my own website, and so far you can see it has 3,000 installations. This is free, but of course, if you want extra features, you have to go for the pro version, which of course I highly recommend. In fact, they have a lifetime deal at the moment. If you've used WooCommerce before and it feels very bulky and slows down your website, this is the answer to creating an online store website, but it also does digital products. So I'm going to say install now, and then I'm going to activate. All right. So now that I've activated it, we might as well go in and go through the setup wizard. So I'm going to come over here to Fluent Carts, click on dashboard. All right. So now notice what happens. It's going to take me through all my setups. So before I move any further, I don't like the dark mode. So I'm going to come over here and turn this to light. And now we have light mode. So first of all, choose your country. So I'm in the United Kingdom. So I'm just going to search for United Kingdom, and here it is, UK. Shop name, I'm just going to call this Mac Shop, or I can just call it Mac Digital Products. It's pretty much up to me. Next, I'm going to hit continue. Okay, so now it's saying checkout page, cart page, receipt, shop, and customer profile. Now, I'm going to automatically create these pages because I don't want to create these one by one. So I'm going to say generate all pages. So just by clicking that, all my pages are generated already. I'm going to say continue. So here it says start from scratch, or you can populate it with these products. I want to start from scratch, so I'm going to say save, and pretty much I'm done. That's my shop set up. I mean, isn't this amazing? So I want to say, let's go by coming over here. Let's create our first product. So I'm going to come over here to products and then say add product. All right. So I'm going to say Indian cooking. So I'm just going to call this Indian cooking formula. Okay. It's set as a digital product. That's what I want. And I'm going to say add product. Okay. Fantastic. Now it needs a short description. So for the short description, I'm going to use lorem text. So I'm going to copy this like that and then paste it. Okay. Over here, I'm going to add the longer description. So I'm going to do that and paste it. Excellent. So now I have my description in here. The next thing I need to do is to set my price. I think I set it at $69. So we're going to say 69. Now, if it's on sale, you can add your compare price here. I'm going to say 97. So here is a digital product, right? Which is brilliant. It's a one-time payment. So it is not a subscription, but if you have an option for subscription, you can add it here, but this is one time. So further down here, it's asking for the downloadable assets. So of course, this is going to be an ebook that we're selling. So I'm going to activate this, and then it's time for me to add the actual zip file over here. So I'm going to click add, choose file, and then over here now, I'm going to say upload because I haven't uploaded it. So what I'm going to do for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to grab Krafter Lite here as an example. Let's pretend this is the actual digital product. Okay. I'm going to say upload. Okay. It has been successfully uploaded. I'm going to say confirm and then save. All right. So you can see here that it has been added as our product that's going to be downloaded. So the next thing we need to do now is to add the media. I'm going to select this. And the image I'm going to go with is this one right here. I'm not even sure if that's an Indian dish, to be honest. Okay, so the categories here don't matter. The brands don't matter. Everything else is fine. So all I need to do now is to click on update. Okay, so I may want to do a quick preview and see what this looks like. All right, so there we go. So this is the preview, but do you notice something weird here? We have this sidebar and things are not looking good, right? For this page. So what we need to do now is to create a template, a basic template for this product. So I'm going to come back over here Okay, so you can see it's set to draft. I'm going to go ahead and set this to publish. Okay, we want this now published. I'm going to say update. So this product now is actually updated. So let's do one more time this preview. Okay, so now do you see what it looks like? We have this sidebar. We don't need that. So we're going to go ahead and fix that by creating a new template for that. All right, so to create our template, we need to come over here to Divi theme builder. Okay, it's very important we do that. So I'm going to click here on this plus button to build a new template. So this template is going to be applied to specific pages. So I'm going to hover over here to specific pages, and then I want this on the checkout, on the cart, on the receipt, on the shop, because I don't want all these pages to have that sidebar. The account page, I don't care about the reference, I don't care about the home page and the privacy policy. Okay, now I can say create template. Excellent. So I can go in now and start creating my template. So I'm going to go in here and say build body. So the very first thing I'm going to need to do here is to add a single column. So in here, we're going to add our heading text, and we're going to select this heading. And then over here now, we're going to go into dynamic content, and we need to make sure that this page is an archive title, because when we go to these separate pages, this needs to show up as the page name. That's why we're doing that. Okay, so let's hit apply and save. Okay, so now we're just going to add a very light background here. I'm going to select my section, and then over here on the background, oops, I'm going to click here and then pick a color. So you can see here we have a few colors. We have this primary 100. That's our primary color, our brand color. So I can actually choose that. Okay. And then maybe make this one here lighter. So I'm going to go in, design, and let's set this to heading 2. And then in here, we're going to change the color and make it light. No, that won't work. Oops. We need to delete this, undo that, and set this to white. So let's go in here and add all the Fs. Okay, so that's white. Do I think that looks great? Nah, maybe not. Okay, so this is where you get to play around with this. So I'm going to go back in here, add that heading color, and then go back to my section here. Keep things very simple. I'm going to go to content, go back to my background here, undo that, and then add a very light gray. So I'm going to go in and add a gray 100. Now that color is part of the design system, by the way. Okay, so let's save this and exit. I'm going to save all changes. Now let's see what happens to this page now. I'm going to refresh. Okay, so you can see nothing happened. I think I know why. I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to click here on this plus button, add a single column, and in that column, I'm going to add post content. Select that. I'm going to save, exit, and then save all changes. All right, so this should work now. Let's refresh. That's weird. Let's try the checkout page. You see, the checkout page is working. The cart page is working. The account page is working. You see that? That's pretty cool. So this is brilliant. So let's fix this product page. In fact, let's create its own page by coming over here, its own template. So first of all, let's duplicate this, save us time. Okay. And then I'm now going to come all the way down here. Now, do you know why it didn't work? Because I was supposed to specifically target it over here. Now I can see here are all our products. Select that and then save. Right. So for the products, if I now save, so notice that this template here is for pages, and then this here is now for products. That's why that page didn't work. So if I come back now, you can see here we have a sidebar. Let's see what happens when you refresh. Do you see that? Now we don't have the sidebar anymore. It has the description here on the bottom, and we have our title here on the top. So far so good. So if I click here on buy now, wow, look at that. Now we have checkouts, and then we can place our order here. Okay. And then it needs our street name and everything. But here's the thing. We have the option to go in and remove this part because it's a digital product. Okay. We don't need to add our address. our billing address and so on. So let's go ahead and fix that. So now that we have all this set, I'm going to say save all changes. All right, so let's go now and fix that issue. So we're going to come over here to Fluent Cart, and then we're going to go to settings. Where is our settings? Oh, right here. Okay, so this is where we get to do all our settings. So we have our page set up. I mean, we have already created our pages. They are all there, as you can see. Product page. There's a few options here. If you want to enable zoom in a single product, you can enable it here if you want to do that. Variable view. Okay, we're not going to use any of that. And then we have our cart and checkout options. So we have our toggle here, our toggle cart here, and here we have our prefix for our invoice and so on. You can also choose here to create a user automatically after payment. Okay, so that could be an option that you want for them to be able to download their products. Here on the checkout fields is where we can go in and disable all this stuff because we don't need all this. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove that over here as well, like that. So we don't need billing addresses. We just need the full name and email address. That's all we need. Shipping address, we don't need that as well. So let's go ahead and remove that. Excellent. Now we can hit save. But of course, if you're selling if you're selling physical products, then you need to definitely have that. Okay, it's important that you have that if you're selling physical products. Okay. Payment settings. This is where you get to connect your Stripe or your PayPal. And if you want this to be, cash upon delivery, you can go in here and, set it up for that. So you can say payment activation, save changes. But of course, if you want to set up PayPal and so on, you need to have a PayPal account. So it's very easy to set up. You can just say manage, connect with PayPal, and this will take you to the PayPal website. Okay, you see that? Connect with PayPal, and then this goes to your PayPal account. And then once it's done, it goes back to Fluent Cart. Okay, so far we've set up the shop, we've set up the payments here, and we've also updated this checkout. So let's refresh and see what happens. There we go. So now it only needs our name and email address, and pretty much we're good to go. And here's our product, here's the price, and here's saying cash, and then I can place my order here. Simple, right? Excellent. But we're not done yet because we need to make sure that our design here looks really, really nice. So let's just finalize our design here. We have this header and footer that doesn't look nice, right? Our header and footer here, and also our menu. So let's first of all fix our menu. So I'm going to come over here, and then we're going to go to appearance, menus. So under the menu, I need to give this menu a name. So I'm going to call this Mac menu, and this is going to be my primary menu, and then I'm going to say create. So it's time now to add all my buttons to the menu. So I'm going to select them. So I've got my home here. I'm going to select my account, cart, checkouts, receipts, and I don't need the shop. Okay, so we're going to say add to menu. Excellent. So now, with this account, we have the checkout and the receipt. So what we're going to do now is create a link called user, but this link is going to be blank. So we're just going to call this user like that. Add to menu. And then under user is where we're going to have the access to the account, the cart, and the receipt. Now this checkout, it shows up during the process of purchasing something. So I'm going to say remove, and pretty much that's all I need. Now let's save this. There we go. All right. So if I go now to my website and refresh, take a look at what happens here on the top. There we go. So now I have user, I can go to my account, and this was where I would go to my downloads if I've purchased it, and right now there's nothing, and I would have my purchase history, and again right now there's nothing there. And I can also go to my profile. If I need to change anything here, I would change all my stuff there. If I need to take a look at my receipt, I'll just come over here to receipt, and right now I don't have any receipts, right? And then of course over here I also have the cart, but of course I don't have anything in the cart. So far we've created something very, very clean, something very, very basic. So what we need to do now is to connect this button, right, to the actual product. It's very, very important we do that. So let's find the product. So we're going to come over here to Fluent Carts, and then we're going to go to products. So let's go ahead and view this. So the link that we need actually is not this one here. So I'm going to say buy now, and this is what we need. So I'm going to copy this URL like that, Control C, and then back, oops, and then back over here. Let's go to our main page, visit site, and then we're going to say edit with Divi. All right. So let's go to this button here and add our link like that, and then save. Do a quick preview. So now if I click on buy now, it takes me to the page to purchase the product. How cool is that, right? Okay, so far so good. I think we are getting somewhere with our design. So we just need to now further add more things here to make our website really cool. So I'm going to click here on this plus button and add 2 columns. On the left column, I'm going to add a heading, and I'm also going to add a paragraph text. So let's search for text like that. And then over here on the right, we're going to add an image like that. And then over here now, I'm going to start adding the images. I'm going to add this one here. And then we are going to add a bit of a color here to this background. So I'm going to select the section, go to my background, and then over here, I'm going to go with this primary color. Okay, how about that? Will that work? Actually, I don't like the way it's a bit too bright here. Let's get rid of that. Let's use gray. Okay, very nice, clean, very subtle, like that. All right, so now that we have this, we can go in now and use our design system to map our sizes. So I'm going to select that, come over here, and under the text, this is going to be body text. This one here is going to be heading 3. So I'm going to come over here, choose my heading 3. Okay, right. So this image here is the image that's going to go with that design. Let's move on, add another section here. And in that section, I'm going to add a heading. Okay. And then I'm going to add another row. And this time I'm going to have accordions. So for this now, this is going to be my FAQs. FAQs. Okay. And then in here now, I need to populate this with the questions and the answers. So I'm going to start off with this one here, going to the text, and this is where I need to add my text. So I'm going to use lorem. Here it is. I'm just going to drag it all the way up here. So let's grab a bit of text here. Let's pretend this is the question. So I want to come over here and paste it. Okay. And then I'm going to do it one more time. This time with the description, or the answer rather. Paste it. Okay. So now if I come over here to the text, okay, so I need to map the title. So this is going to be heading 3. Okay. And if we go to this one, we do the same. So now we have nice big headings. So for the second one here, I also need to go in and change the title. So I'm going to come over here. Let's pretend this is the title. I'm going to copy that back over here. I'm going to paste it. All right. So this is how you're going to get your websites to be at least believable, because we have your frequently asked questions. We're also going to create a testimonial section as well. All right, so let's just grab a bunch of text here. So this answer here is going to be slightly longer, okay? So I'm going to go in and paste that. All right, so let's save this and take a quick look. Let's do a quick preview. All right, so far so good. We have our landing page now, and this is our frequently asked questions. Look at that. And by the way, if you want to add more of these FAQs, we can do that, no problem. But I feel like we need a testimonial section, okay? How about that? So we are going to add a testimonial section. Let's go ahead and come over here. So for that, I think testimonials should come after this. What do you think? So we're going to go ahead, add a heading, triple click and say testimonials like that. And then in here now is where we're going to add another row. And how many should we add? Maybe we should add 4. Okay. So for our testimonials, we're going to build this from scratch by coming over here to group. Okay. So in the group, we're going to add an image, and below the image, we're going to have some text, and then we also need a description. Okay, let's duplicate this. Okay, so over here now, this is where we're going to add the name of the first testimonial. So we're going to copy that and paste it. So for the name, we're going to make it bold, select it all, make it bold. Okay, and then over here, we're going to go to text, set this to body text. Over here, this needs to be body text as well. So I'm going to come over here and say body. I know it's a bit too much, but we just need to add testimonial itself. I'm going to copy that and then come back over here and paste. Oops. All right. So that's our testimonial. Next, we need to add our image. So I'm going to click on this image here, go to our image. And because I have my image in my media library, I can just go ahead and select it and then say upload image. All right, great. So what we're going to do now is to make sure we select the actual group. Okay. So I can't select it there. So I'm going to come over here. Right. So now that I've selected this, we're going to use our design system to add our padding. So I'm going to select design, and then on the spacing here, we're going to go to padding small. Okay. And then since we got padding small selected, we're going to now come over here to contents, background, and then just add a nice background image or background color like that. I'm not sure if we should use that or if we should go and use our brand colors, because our brand colors are not really there. All right, I think we're going to use that. Okay, just add a bit of color to our page. All right, so now we need to go ahead and change this. So for our color, for our text color here, I'm going to go in and change this to a light color because we need contrast on our background here. Okay, so we're going to do the same here, change the color. Okay, so with that selected, I'm going to go into the group and we're going to do what we did before. We're going to come over here and say gap 0. Okay, and then we're going to go back in and set our sizes. So I'm going to select my heading here, right, or the name rather, and then on the spacing, we're going to say margin top small. And then here, we're going to say, let's close this, spacing, margin top, you got medium? No, I think it should be small too. Yeah. You know what? I may change the size of this to a smaller size. Okay. All right. So now that I have this, let's go back to our group. And I think that's fine. I think it's looking okay. So what I'm going to do now is to duplicate this a few times and then just drag this group over here, next one over here, and then the last one over here. Okay. So we have this all set. So we're going to go in now and just change the image. I want to come over here, change it to this guy, upload, come over to this one, change this image to this guy. I think we've got more than we need here. So let's get rid of one of them. How about that? So I'm going to come back over here, go to my elements and delete the last one like that. So all I need to do now is to adjust my columns here to 3. Great. So that's my testimonials, all 3 of them. So let's save. So what we're going to test now is to see if everything here looks and works great. So one thing I need to do here is I did not add contents here. So let's go back in. So what we want to do here is not You will learn. So we're going to add a bit of paragraph text. So we're going to grab it from here. But I need some bullet points, you know, because the bullet points are very important here because they work as a design element as well. So I'm going to click here on this plus button and we are going to choose icon list. All right, so with our icon list now, I'm going to start off with the first one. Okay, so we're going to go into the icon and I'm going to say check. And this is the one I need. Then I may need to go and adjust the size of that as well. So I'm going to first of all copy a bit of this text and then paste my text in here. Now it's time to customize this, okay, because the sizes are not right. So I'm going to come over here to design icon, and I want to start off with the icon size. So I'm going to click here on this little icon and you can see it has all my sizes. So usually I use the text. So I'm going to start off with 2XL and I can see that's a bit too much. So let's go with medium. And now for the texts, since we don't, the body text is right here. So let's choose our size. It hasn't updated for some reason, but anyway, that's not a problem. I can always come over here and choose text medium. Okay, so now that I have the size that I need there, right, you can see I'm limited to the sizes I can use over here. So what I'm going to do now is to duplicate this a few times. You can see there I've done it wrong. So what I want to do is to go back to my icon list, back over here, go to elements. So these are the three items that we have. I'm going to delete that one, and then duplicate it. Okay, so let's have 4. Let's get rid of this one. Right, so now I just need to replace this text. Okay. All right, so we're at a stage now where our website looks pretty close to complete. But in your case, if you want to end this design right here, this is fully functional. If someone comes in and pays for this product or tries to buy it, they can go buy it. And here is the checkout page. They can go in and place the order. And to see all the other information, they can come over here to account, and this will be the account page. And if they go to the cart, they can see what's in the cart. But of course, right now, there's nothing in the cart. And finally, they can also see the receipt. But of course, the receipt is not there because I haven't purchased anything yet. So if you want to take this to the next level, to really do some fine tuning, to make your website look even more professional, we are now going to need to use Krafter. And this is the full version of our design system. Now, remember, we installed the free version, which was this. It gave us the heading, the 1, 2, and 3. It also gave us the body text. It gives us also some primary buttons here and the basic margins. But we can take this a step further where we can further tweak our website. Of course, like I said, this is fully functional. This will work 100% correct. But if you want it to look like a professional website, this is where we need to install Krafter. Now, this is a paid product, by the way. I'll leave the link to that in the video description below. This product is fantastic because it changes how you design websites with Divi, and it has all the UI design elements that professional designers use to achieve amazing looking websites. So let's go ahead and install it, and then we're going to take this design to the next level. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to our dashboard. And to install it, we're going to do it similar to how we did before. We're going to come over here to Divi, and then we're going to go to library. Okay, so here in library, you can see we have Krafter Lite. So here we have Krafter version 2.4. This is the full version, like I mentioned. So when you purchase it or when you download it, you're going to get a zipped folder like this. We need to double click it. And we're going to get this Krafter 2.4.json. This is the file that we need. All right, so we're going to come over here and click on import. Just like how we did before, we're going to come over here to import. We're going to say import presets. And then we are now going to drag and drop this file, the 2.4.json, this one here. I'm just going to drag and drop it here. The other way is to click on choose files, and then you're going to navigate to where it is on your computer. All right, so now that we've done this, we're going to say import builder layouts, and this is going to import, and you can see this is really fast. All right, so now that this is complete, You can see here it now says Krafter 2.4. All right, so now that that's complete, let's create another reference so you can see what features comes with this version. So I'm going to say add page, and I'm just going to call this Krafter. Next, I'm going to say use Divi builder. And then over here now, I am going to click on this plus button, go to my saved layout, and I'm going to add the Krafter 2.4 and then say use this layout. So this is going to import pretty much everything in our design system here. So I'm going to publish this, okay, and then do a quick preview. I want to compare between the other free version. All right, so here on the free version, as you can see, we have the headings, we have the paragraph text, and we also have 2 buttons, the colors, the margins, and the padding. Now, with the full version, you get all the headings, heading 1 to heading 6. You also get the light version of the headings, and we get the body text, the small body text. We also have the large body text. So we have our custom headings as well, as you can see. So further down here, we have different types of buttons. We have the lighter version of our primary colors and secondary colors. We also have a neutral button and also a dark neutral. And then over here, we have our color scale. You can see here, we can use all these colors, and this is what UI designers actually use, right? We have the same on the secondary color. We also have semantic colors, also have our grayscale. And now this is where things get really exciting. We have our borders. We also have our icons, different types of icon sizes, and all these are responsive, okay? We have our shadows, so you don't have to go in and guess how much shadow you need to add on an item. Everything is pretty much set up for you. We also have our paddings, we also have our margins, and we also have our alerts, which is also very important. Here we have our border radius. We have our rows. So here we have our text row, wide text row, content row, and so on. So all these are very, very important in design. We also have our section padding, which we don't have in the free version. So as you can see, there's a lot here that we can use to design our website. All right, so now that we've got that, we need to now go to our main page. Let's exit from here and then further customize our website. Let me just save this. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go back, and then we're going to look for our home page, which is our main landing page, which has our full design. So we're going to come over here. So what we're going to do now is to go in and further customize this. So first of all, I want to change the background of this, okay, because we hardly see the color of our brand, okay? So we're going to come in here, go to background, and now look how easy it is. I'm just going to say pick a color, and I'm going to choose my primary color, which is my brand color, just like that. Okay. Next, we are going to add some padding to this section. So to do that, I'm going to come over here to the top, and I'm going to say large section. Okay. And then I can just go in now and customize this text. So I'm going to select it, and then over here now in the design tab, instead of body text, I want to get rid of that. Okay, I want to use label light. Here it is. There we go. Next, I'm going to come over here to this text, and this is our heading 1, but I don't think this is, good enough. So I'm going to go in and say heading large, but it needs to be light because we have a dark background. So you can see now things have changed a little bit. Here is our paragraph text. So I'm going to say body text light. There we go. We also have this pricing here. Again, we're going to come over here to our text. Let's set this to body text light as well, because that's our pricing. And then for our button here, I'm going to select it and then come over here to the top. And then we're going to set this as a secondary button. Now, do you see how it increased its size there? All right, so far, I think I like what I've done here for our product landing page. Next, I'm going to come over here now to our image, and I'm going to add a very slight border, okay, just to clean everything up. It's too sharp. So for our border here, I'm going to go with border radius small, okay. Now, of course, if you want to add a very subtle one, you can just go in and say extra small, okay, but I'm going to go with small. Excellent. Now, let's move on. So this section here, we're going to go in and set our padding for that section, and we're going to go with medium. In fact, you know what? Do you think we should use large? Yeah, I think let's go large. All right, I think that looks much better. For the color here, for the image, remember we used small, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go to our border radius small. Okay, so far so good. I like that. Further down here, we have our testimonial. Now, before I go to the testimonial, I just want to remove this and make it white. So I'm going to go to content, background, and then just refresh that. Okay, so the gray is going to be on this one right here. All right, so let's go in. We're going to add our color, and we're going to go with gray 100. Okay, now as I look at this, I don't really like what I've done here on the testimonials. So we're going to change a few things. We're going to come over here to our background of our group settings and change the color, because I think this is just too, it doesn't look great. Okay, let's put it that way, right? In fact, you know what? Let's just go in here and create a new section. A new row, and then I'm just going to grab this and bring it into this one here, because that's the one we're going to duplicate. I know it doesn't look great right now, just bear with me. So I'm going to select my group and undo the color, and then I'm going to go back in and choose gray 100. Okay, so I think that's great. Next, we're going to come over here to the image, because I want to make it a circle. So I'm going to go to border, and let's put 999 here. Hit enter. Okay, and then over here on the sizing, I'm going to reduce the size to about, I think 10% works okay. All right. Okay, great. The next thing I'm going to do now is to select this group settings. Okay, and I am going to add some padding. So right now I have padding small. Should I leave it as small? Let's see. Now let's go medium. So we're going to go padding medium like that. We're also going to add some rounded corners. So we're going to come over here to border, and then we're going to say radius small. So we're consistent with everything on our site. Next, we're going to come over to the name now. Okay, so here we have body text, right? So how about we get rid of that, and let's go with body text large. But you see, we added our color, so we need to get rid of the color in here. So let's go in and reset. Okay, so now we have our normal color. Next, we have our text here. So I'm going to go in, and for our body text, I think it's the same thing. We're going to just remove the color like that. And over here now, we have the spacing. Let's fix the spacing as well. So margin top small. We're going to say extra small. So it's right here. I'm going to select that. All right, great. So now that we have our testimonial, I'm going to duplicate this a few times. So you're going to say 1, 2, 3. So now we have a total of 4. Okay, that's great. So what I'm going to do next is to use auto grid. So I'm going to click here on my row settings. Okay, and then I'm going to go to content, elements, and then I'm going to go into this column. All right, so this is our 4 groups. So in here, I'm going to go to the top and then say auto grid. So now you can see my testimonials are in a grid. But as I look at this, I notice that we have a problem with our images. It looks very, very small, right? So let's fix that. So I'm going to select my image. In fact, I can't select it here. So I'm going to go into my layers and oops, that's the wrong image. So let's go in and select our group again like that. Okay. So with our group selected, this is the image. Now I know I set it up as a percentage, if I remember well, and that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. I'm going to set it as a pixel value. So let's start off by saying 80 pixels. Okay. We might as well bring it up to about 100. How about that? All right. So I think 100 works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as my main templates, delete this and that as well, and then just duplicate this. Now you're going to notice that everything is going to fall in place because I have auto grid selected. All right, so let's get rid of our layers here. And over here on the top, we are going to get rid of this design now, like that. Okay, so I have my testimonials. All I need to do now is to go in and change these images by clicking inside, coming over here to content, image. So I have these images now I can use. I'm going to do the same here, change it to that one, upload image. Okay, so let's save. So now that we have that, we are also going to add our section padding, and we're going to set this to large. Great. Okay. So the next thing we need to do now is to come over here to FAQs, do the same. We're going to come over here, large, and let's save and preview. Wow. Now, do you see things have now changed? Look at that. Isn't that cool? All right. So we have another template that we need to use in here, which is very important when we design our sites, and that is our grid. So our grid system here that we're going to use with this design system is 1280. So I'm going to come over here to row settings. We're going to change this to content row. Okay. So what you want to do is to just go onto all these rows and set them to the content row like that. Okay, so now everything is following a 1280 grid. Okay, so with this now, so far so good. If you want to center this, I mean, you can also center it if you want to as a design option, but I'm going to leave it as it is. All right, so far so good. I think we're getting close. Now, if these gaps here, if you need to customize them, we also have an option in our settings. I'm going to select my row, and then I'm going to go to my elements here and then go into the column. So when we come over here to design, and for our layout here, you can see I have my gaps. So if I say gap 0, everything goes, right? But I can go gap small, and that'll be very, very close. But I think the best size for this is going to be gap large, or even gap medium. Let's try medium. Okay. So now everything is okay. The final thing we need to do now is to work on this footer, because right now the footer that we have is not great. So let us exit from here, and then we're going to come over here to Divi and go to theme builder. All right, so let's go to our global footer here, build global footer. The first thing we're going to do is to add our column, and then add a text module in here, because this is where we're going to have the label, or the link rather, to where we're going to link to. So this is going to be our refund policy, because of course you may want to add a refund policy. Okay. Oops, spelling is wrong. And you may also need your terms and conditions. All right, great. So the next thing we're going to do, since this is a footer, we're going to add a very dark background here. So I'm going to go to our background, pick a color, and we have our list of colors here. So I'm going to go with a primary, a very dark primary here. So let's try primary 900. How about primary 800? Okay, let's go down here, primary 800. There we go. All right, so I think I'm going to go with the primary 800, and then for my text here, I'm just going to go into my design and then say heading text. No, sorry, text. We're going to set this to body text. That's too much. Now, do you see the advantage of this now? I can say body text small, but light, or I can just say body text small, and then go in and choose a color from my color system here. Of course, you don't really have to do this. I mean, you can do that if you want to be, a bit fancy, but that's going to be our basic footer. And then finally, what we need to do is to link up this to, our pages. So for our privacy policy here, refund policy, if you have the link, if you have the page, this is where you would add it. But for now, I'm just going to go in and add a blank link. Okay. The terms, same thing. Highlight that, come over here, add a blank link. Okay, so now we're going to save and exit. So let's take a look at our design now. I know we're not 100% there yet, but I think we're getting there. So, right, I like my spacing here. Everything looks okay. And then my footer here also looks great. All right, so far so good. The next thing we're going to do now is to take a look at these pages inside. So the account page here, I can see we may need to have, make this slightly bigger, you know. So we're going to come over here, go to our custom body, and this is where we have our template. So I'm going to go in and add a bit of padding to that section. So I'm going to select it, and then over here now to the top, I'm going to set this to medium. Okay, I think medium works great. I'm going to hit save. In fact, while we're here, let me try large. Let's try and see what this looks like. We're going to refresh the page. Okay, that's a bit too much, I think. But the beauty of this is it is also responsive. So if I go in and inspect this, you can see it is responsive. Okay, I think that's a bit too much though. So let's go ahead and use medium. Okay, I'm going to save this. All right, so those pages are now done. Let's refresh this page. Yeah, I think this is a much better size, definitely. But what we need to do now is to fix this, because this is not our 1280 grid. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fix that. So we're going to go in here, going to go to our row, and then we're going to say content row. We're going to do the same over here. Set this to content row and then save. Okay, so let's refresh this. Okay, I like that. So that's looking much better. So here we don't have a custom heading. We may need to fix a heading here for our site. But before we do that, let's just fix the these pages first. So the products as well, we're going to go into the custom body and set this to content row. Next, we're going to also come over here, and I know we set this to medium. So I'm going to come over here, set this to medium, and then set this to content row as well. Boom. Okay. So now our product pages are going to have that. I mean, I've just set it up, but we don't really need it. Okay. Okay. So with this done now, it's time now to design our header. So I'm going to go back, exit from here. So to build our global header, we're just going to come over here, build global header. We're going to add a single row. And in this row, we're going to add a menu. And here it is. So first of all, let's set this to content row. And then for the main hero area here, we are going to also add some padding. So we're going to say section small. Right now, it's up to us now to add a background color if we need to, and this is obviously, you know, by choice. So for mine to be visible, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go in and add a very light gray. Okay, so now I need to go into this module and remove the background color. There we go. Right, so the next thing I need to do now is to go in here and customize pretty much everything that I need to customize here. So this is where you'd add your logo. So in this case, if you have a logo, you can set your site logo, which is the Divi. But in your case, this is where you upload your own logo. Okay. And then in the design now, in fact, for our elements here, if you want to add a search icon, you can add a shopping cart icon or even a search icon. Okay. It's up to you. But I'm going to remove that because I don't really need a search for this website. All right, so the next thing we're going to do now is to customize the logo because that size is a bit too much, okay? So we're going to set the width to, let's try 100 pixels. Okay, so definitely it needs to be less than that. So we're going to go up to about 64, okay? And the next thing we need to do here is for the menu text, we need to align this to the right. There we go. Okay, so now it's aligned to the right, which is brilliant. Let's save this, exit, and save one more time. I want to refresh. Okay, so my logo is not showing, but everything else seems to be fine. All right, so let's further customize this. So I need to look for a logo to add in there. All right, so you can see here that our header now has been added, but the problem is when we scroll, you notice that our header just goes with the page, but we may not want that. So let's come back over here and fix that problem. So I'm just going to exit from here, and we're going to go back to our global header. And this is a quick fix, by the way. All I need to do is to select my section here by clicking on this gear icon, and then we're going to come over here to advanced. We're going to go to scroll effects, and then here by default it's set to do not stick, so we're going to say stick to top and then save. We're going to exit and then save one more time, and then over here now we're going to refresh the page. And let's try it one more time, and boom, you see, it now sticks to the top, which is brilliant. So now we're on the home page. Again, if we scroll, it sticks to the top and it works fine. How cool is that? So everything else now really works. The most important thing now that we've come to the end of our design, we need to check and make sure that this is responsive, and this is the beauty of using our design system. So I'm going to inspect this, and then I'm going to now drag this and just make sure that everything is responsive. You can see the header there is getting smaller and smaller, and I think this is about the size of a mobile phone. So when I scroll down here, I can see everything here looks great. My images here is fine. My testimonials have adapted to the screen size, which is good. My FAQs are looking great. So this is our final design. So what we need to do now is to just check and make sure that if we go in and make a purchase, it's going to work. So I'm going to say buy now. All right, so there we go. We're on our checkout. So I'm going to choose cash. In fact, that's the only one I have. I'm going to say place order. All right, so it's saying payment pending because, of course, I need to make the payment. So now I can download the receipt here. I can view the order, and you can see here Indian cooking formula, $69. And then if I go to my downloads here, no downloads yet because I haven't, made the payment. And of course, I also have my profile page here, which has my email address and everything. If I need to go in and make changes to this, I can just go in and edit. But of course, there's no need to edit anything. So what happens now is my payment is just put on hold until I make a payment, and then it will be downloaded. All right, so pretty much that is our design process. Thank you very much for watching. Please share this video if you like it. And also if you have any questions, let me know in the comments box below and I'll do my best to respond to them. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.